No more rumors and no more stories. No more speculation. Today we hear the truth straight from the horse's mouth. Today, Nintendo was kind enough to finally come out and visually show us, the brand new Nintendo Switch 2. And it's officially called the Nintendo Switch 2. What can we say about this machine that we don't already see visually on screen? Because, well, today was just an announcement trailer to just inform the public that Nintendo has officially been working on a newly refined Switch. They call it the Switch 2. We can tell it is a brand new Switch because of the size of it. I would probably have to compare this maybe close to a Steam Deck. It's probably around the size of a Steam Deck now. Now, Nintendo did not provide us a deep dive as far as its hardware capabilities, but if we're going to go by the shape and size of the Nintendo Switch 2's form factor, it might be along the lines of a Steam Deck or a Rogue Ally. Maybe. We can't tell for sure because we don't know. As I said, we don't know what the specs are and we don't know what the price is. They didn't share that information. They plan to share a deep dive or a Nintendo Direct on April the 2nd. Now, after seeing this video, I do believe that hardware speculation from everyone is going to run rampant because this, like I said, this was just a product placement announcement and not a hardware breakdown announcement. I'm pretty sure everyone's going to have something to say about what this machine is possibly capable of. I'm not going to speculate. That is not my job to speculate. It's not my interest to speculate either. All I know is what we see in front of us. Hardware-wise, it is a Switch. Okay, visually, we can see that this is just an enlarged Switch. We can tell that from the video, the screen is bigger, and so are the Joy-Cons. What we also see is that the Joy-Cons are magnetic instead of slot loading this time. So it might make things easier to disconnect and reconnect your Joy-Cons at will, instead of struggling like I was trying to dislodge a Joy-Con and especially try to reseat it. Sometimes you miss. So it seems like it's better constructed this time. It's better designed this time for ease of use for people with big hands like myself. I do like the fact that the Joy-Cons are bigger because I'm a gamer that has big hands. And for the most part, anytime I was playing the Switch, which was on a television and never in portable mode, I would have cramps, hand cramps playing with the Joy-Cons. So I would just switch over to the Pro controller. On average, I was always on the Pro controller, and I was never really playing it in portable mode. I'm not a portable gamer. That was back in the day. I do not play portable games no more. Those days are over for me. But just because I'm not a portable gamer doesn't mean that there's not a whole line of people behind me that really love and enjoy portable gaming. So this is for you. This video also discloses the fact that it is backwards compatible with the original Switch, which is to be expected. I wouldn't expect anything less. But if you read carefully in the documentation, on the freeze frame documentation, it does say that it may not be compatible with some Nintendo Switch games. I'm not entirely sure how big that list of non-compatible games would be, but one of them that comes to mind would have to be maybe the Nintendo Labo from back in 2018. That was a kind of a Lego meets cardboard kind of a peripheral where on some occasions the actual screen would fit inside a containment within the cardboard. Now, with the Switch 2 being the screen being much bigger, I could see where it would have compatibility size issues with Nintendo Labo. And last I've heard, I don't believe they're actually supporting Labo anymore. So Yeah, that's probably the one and only game that wouldn't work out too well if you had to connect the Labo with inside the cardboard itself. It may have some compatibility size issues unless you're going to squeeze in there and just wedge it in there for it to fit. It may not function 100%. The software should work. Like if you were to boot up the game, I would imagine the game would boot up just fine. It's just a compatibility issue with it. And it also goes with the Joy-Cons. The Joy-Cons may not fit within the confines of the cardboard either, being a bigger size. So yeah, I can definitely see that Nintendo Labo would be the one and only game that shouldn't be 100% compatible with the Switch 2. But everything else, anything software-wise, I can't imagine it not working. But we'll find out. They say they're going to discuss its compatibility list of games sometime in the future. I think on their website they'll discuss what games are compatible and which ones are not. And we'll just find out which ones they don't support and which ones they will. I imagine the backwards compatibility list should be pretty large. It should be pretty broad. I can't imagine just about any game from the original Switch not working on the Switch 2. But vice versa, hey, don't expect exclusive titles for the Switch 2 to work on the Switch 1. Now, I don't believe that the cartridges are any bigger. I'm sure that the actual carts will be the same size. If they were talking about physical and digital being compatible with the Switch 2, then the carts should be the exact same size. The density, that's different, but the cart size and shape should accommodate Switch 1 games into the Switch 2, and probably vice versa. But those games on the Switch 2 that have been programmed and optimized to only work on the Switch 2, they more than likely, and I could be wrong, we'll find out later on, they more than likely will not work in the original Switch. And that's where marketing is going to be very, very important on Nintendo's side to get it right. We don't want another situation with the Wii U. Because with the Wii U, parents of the past were thinking, well, I have a Wii. Now there's this Wii U, and from what I could tell in the commercial, it's just a controller, right? The Wii U was just a controller as far as I can tell. Well, everybody was wrong on that one, including myself. I mistook it as an add-on until we saw what the entire package looked like. So they have to get this right. This is going to be very important for Nintendo to get right this time and market the Switch 2. Market the Switch 2 correctly so that it reaches a broad audience. Because, you know, outside of our community, our gaming community, the casuals won't know the difference. They will see a Switch 2 and mistake it for a Switch 1 with a new face. And they may say to themselves, I could have sworn this thing wasn't as big, but it's a Switch. It looks like a Switch, so it's definitely a Switch. I may not turn the device around and see the number 2 on it, but the front face of it looks like a Switch, and I can easily mistake it for Switch 1. So when you have that to deal with, and it literally looks like an enlarged Switch 1, that's where marketing is going to have to come into play. Nintendo, you better get this right this time. You better get it right, because we don't, as I said, we do not want another situation. We don't want a repeat of the Wii U with the Switch 2. And yeah, it really does look that much like a Switch 1. Since you didn't want to make a completely different console and all you really did was take the Switch 1 and upgrade it. I mean, this honestly, in my opinion, this honestly probably originally was a Switch Pro, right? We were hearing for a long time about a rumored revised version of the original Switch. I think the rumors for the original Switch Pro, I mean, that dates back to like 2018, and the machine, the first Switch came out in 2017, and then the very next year people were talking about, oh, I'm hearing rumors and speculation and about a Switch Pro, thinking to myself, what's wrong with the Switch original? Because why do we want a Pro just 12 months later? This isn't a cell phone. This is a handheld console that I'm expecting to last a distance. I'm expecting to have a shelf life of minimum 5 years. This spring will mark, I believe, is the 8th year of the Nintendo Switch, and we were talking about the Switch Pro. Back then, it was rumored to be called the Pro. We've been talking about a possibility of a Switch Pro since 2018, and here we are, finally, 2025. You would think that the grand improvements from a Switch 1 would be the screen. That would be the first thing I would go for if it's going to remain a handheld. That's the first thing I'm going to go for, is the size of the screen and the quality of the screen. This is the Switch 2, right? So this is going to be a premium. I'm expecting a premium product from Switch 2 compared to Switch 1. I don't want the same screen again. I want a better screen, and I want it OLED. I want it bright, and I want it vibrant. Me as a customer, that's what I want to see from the Switch 2. Also, I want to see more storage. Does this Switch 2 have more storage, yes or no, compared to the original Switch? Give us minimum 64 gigs, 120 gigs. I can live with that for a handheld. 64 gigs or 120 gigs would be very nice outside the gate. Another thing I would like to consider is the docking station. Now, can this docking station improve performance once docked? Can it actually happen this time as opposed to just transferring video on a television? I would love to see for the Switch 2's docking station to add an extra level of docked performance with the machine, so it actually makes it more powerful. So, like, say for example, what if chances are there's going to be an NVIDIA chipset? So what if while it's docked, it can actually perform machine learning on screen? You would need machine learning for sure on your television as opposed to a smaller screen. On a small screen, which is probably going to be an 8-inch or 9-inch screen for the Switch 2, you wouldn't really need to worry about machine learning on that to up the resolution. It's probably going to be a 1080p display. It's going to have to upscale from 1080p to hopefully a 1440p or all the way to 4K. Can the Switch 2 produce 4K visuals on a television? That's the biggest question to ask. But will this machine be able to support AAA games going forward? Can it AAA gaming from third parties? Can it do Call of Duty? If it can't do Call of Duty Black Ops 6, then we're going to have a problem here, because they're going to want to release Call of Duties on the Switch. If at least that's what that 10-year agreement was all about. I would imagine they're going to want to do Call of Duty on here, and along with other games too. And does Rockstar have development kits for the Switch 2? I would sure hope so at this time. It's been years. If the dev kit's been out since for the last 3-4 years, then Rockstar has got to have had at least 1 or 2 dev kits up there to experiment, just to see if it would even work on it. GTA 5 for sure should be able to work on the Switch 2, maybe even the Switch 1, maybe. But as far as Grand Theft Auto 6, that could be a brand new engine. It's definitely a refined engine of GTA 5. So maybe if you really were to chop it down and scale down some of the assets, because that game is very realistic as far as its environment. So textures might be a problem. The frame rate might be a problem. The resolution might be a problem for the Switch 2. I don't know. I don't want to speculate too soon, because we don't know what's underneath the hood of this thing. So maybe it could run. Maybe it could run Grand Theft Auto 6. Maybe. I'm going to reserve my judgment until we learn more about it. one of the launch titles I'm expecting for the Nintendo Switch 2 is hopefully, by the grace of God, is going to be Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Now, we've known about Beyond since, I want to say 2018. Yeah, that sounds about right. Metroid Prime 4, we knew about Metroid Prime 4's development since 2018. That game got rebooted somewhere around 2019. And here we are in 2025 with a possible release date for this game coming out this year. I own a Switch 1. I was expecting this game to be on Switch 1. Is Metroid Prime 4 still coming to Switch 1, or is that game exclusive to Switch 2? I will be very upset to hear that Metroid Prime 4 is only for the Switch 2 and not been built and optimized for the Switch 1. We heard about it coming for the Switch 1, and here we are about to launch the Switch 2 this year, 2025, and there's still no Metroid Prime. We know that it's supposed to come out this year. Is it still this year? Is this game a launch title for the Nintendo Switch 2? I had no doubt it should be. But if it's only been delayed just so it can launch with the Switch 2 exclusively, I'm going to be upset. And that won't make me want to go and buy a Switch 2. I'm just saying that right now. I might change my mind when the game actually comes out. But right now, if they come out and say during their Nintendo Direct that Metroid Prime 4 is a Switch 2 exclusive, there's going to be hell to pay. But that's going to be a subject for another day. Let's just hope this game still comes for the Switch 1, and it definitely should be backwards compat or have an update for the Switch 2. Third-party support for the Nintendo Switch 2. That's also a pretty big question mark. We don't know too much at all about the hardware specs, and third parties really want power to push their engines. That's always how it's been, and Nintendo, for the most part, for a couple of generations, has just been sticking with their own first-party library because the third parties just simply did not care to optimize their engines to work on their hardware. But maybe that will change now with the Switch 2. With this being a more powerful Switch, maybe, just maybe, we can get the high-profile third-party games. Ubisoft, Capcom, Konami, they should all be on board with wanting to port their games to a wildly successful successor of the Switch. And that everyone that bought a Switch will easily transition over to Switch 2 once they are aware of its existence. And if they really choose to actually perform the upgrade towards the Switch 2, which it is going to be an upgrade. We just don't know how big of an upgrade that this machine is going to be compared to Switch 1. So third parties. Will we get third-party support from all the major third-party publishers? That is to be seen, but if they're going to judge their forecast based on the success of the Switch 1, then they should all be on board. I expect every major third-party company to support the Switch in any way, shape, or form. No matter how big or how small of their support, they are going to be releasing games on the Switch 2 based on the success of the Switch 1. Almost guaranteed. I can almost guarantee you that's going to happen. But can their games work on the Switch 2? Support is one thing, but can it physically work on the Switch 2 this time? Only time will tell. And this time it's on Nintendo for sure that this hardware is capable of running next generation or current generation engines. Games will have to be optimized accordingly to work on the Switch. Now, none of us should expect this machine to be as capable of PlayStation 4 Pro or Xbox One X, definitely not a PS5 or an Xbox Series console, but I'm expecting it to be along the range between the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 4 Pro. I'm expecting it power-wise to be around that range, hopefully. Because if not, then what's the point of this machine? Time will tell. We're all going to see together what this machine can do and who's going to support it out of the gate. But if we were to go by history on the success of the Switch 1, everyone should be on board with the Switch 2. Unless there's something grandly wrong with this machine, which I can't imagine there be, the Switch 2 should be just as successful as the Switch 1 if it is marketed correctly. So Nintendo, you're going to have to get it right this time, and we don't need a repeat of the Wii U. Market this thing correctly and let everyone know and show its capabilities of this machine that this is a better Switch. So we'll see. Nintendo Switch 2. We'll learn more about the Nintendo Switch 2 on April the 2nd from Nintendo Direct. And with that being said, I'm Musical Weapon. Come back again. We'll do this again.